All right. Last time that we were talking about stuff, we were talking about latitude and longitude. And in latitude and longitude, we had talked about how in social studies we go Y and then we go X. So we look to the sides first and then we look to the bottom. So this would be 2, 1, 5, 2, 8, 3, 7, 4, 6, 6, 5, 7, 5, 9, right? So that's how it works in social studies. We go sides, then bottom, all right? So it's kind of keep that in mind for social studies that we do. And we also talked about how we have these lines that go across the planet that divide up our planet. So this line right here is our equator. Y tells us how far north or south we are of the equator. And then this line right here is the prime meridian. That tells us how far east or west we are of Greenwich, England, because that's the line where it goes through. The prime meridian goes through Greenwich, England. All right. So now that we have that established, the world is divided into 4 parts. We have a part here, 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 and here. This is north, east. So this is northeast. This is southeast. This is southwest. And then this is northwest. So we always say north or south first, then east or west. So always north or south first, then east or west. All right, go ahead and make a bullet and write down the word latitude. So make a bullet and write down the word latitude. Now, like I talked about before, the equator was pretty easy to establish where the equator was because, it's halfway in between the north and south poles. And for the equator, we have 0 here for X, and then it's 90 degrees north and 90 degrees to the south. So at 90 north, I'm on the top of the world. 90 south, I'm on the bottom of the world. If I'm standing at 90 north, I'm at the North Pole hanging out with Santa Claus. If I take any step, any direction from that North Pole, I'm at 89.9. 90 degrees north is the highest number that you can go north. Okay, so that's the top of the world. Same thing is true for 90 south. That's the very south of the world. That's the bottom of the world. You can't go any place further than that. Step any direction from there, 89.9. Go ahead and make a 1, and we're going to write down 1, North Pole, equal sign, 90 degrees north. And the North Pole and South Pole are pretty cold. So we know that Columbus, Indiana is 39 degrees north. That means that it's more than double of the way to the North Pole. So we're less than halfway to the North Pole from the equator. So 1 is North Pole equal 9 degrees north. 2 is going to be South Pole equal sign 90 degrees south. So 2, South Pole equal sign 90 degrees south. And just remember that our latitude, the first number we do, is Y. Okay, so our latitude is Y. Make a 3 and write down is Y. So 3 is Y. So just remember that latitude is Y. Okay. Next thing, longitude. Make a new bullet and write down longitude. Now, longitude tells us how far we are east or west of the prime meridian, the line that goes through Greenwich, England. So that's what longitude tells us. How far east are we of the line? How far west we are of the line. And it divides our world into an eastern hemisphere and a western hemisphere. We have 180 west as one extreme and 180 east as the other extreme. You notice that we have 180 here instead of 90. The North Pole was 90, the South Pole was 90. Instead, we have 180, 180. What does that tell us? Well, that tells us that the world is more east and west than it is north and south. It's double it. All right, so it's kind of double around the east and west than it is from north to south, because our world isn't flat, right? Because these dimensions make it look like it's all the same, but it's actually not quite all the same. It's kind of the map is all stretched out and everything. So the world is actually an oval, all right? So it's bigger in the center than it is on the top and bottom. Okay, so bigger to get around here than to go here to here. Okay, so less to get here to here than it is to go from here to here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a 1, and we're going to write down 180 west. So 180 west, because that's the farthest to the west you can go, is 180. As soon as you cross 180, you're into the east. So then you'll be at like 179 east. And the farthest the east we can go is 180 east. You cross that line, you're at like 179 west. So 2 is going to be 180 east. So 1 is 180 west, 2 is 180 east. Now, where these line is at, so where 180 west is, 180 east is, okay, where that line is, that line is also called the international date line. That means that once you cross that line, you're into the next day. So if I leave from Columbus, Indiana, and I fly over to Japan, and I left today on a Monday, that means when I got to Japan, it would be Tuesday. If I left Japan on a Tuesday and went to Columbus, Indiana, it would be Monday. So it's just the day that we say that when days change at. So in New Zealand, way down here, that's the first place that really changes over days to the next day. Then Australia, and then all of these guys, and eventually it gets over to us, and then Hawaii is like last. Go ahead and make a 3, and we're going to write down is x. So just remember that longitude is x. All right. So we kind of know this information. Now we kind of have stuff kind of split and set up. Next thing to talk about is our origin point. So make a new bullet and write down origin point. So new bullet, origin point. What does origin point mean? Well, origin point is where the equator and the prime meridian intersect at, is where they meet at. So where the equator and prime meridian meet at, that is the origin point. That's 0x and 0y. So that's our point of origin. Now you would think there would be something cool there at where the equator and prime meridian meet, but there isn't. It's just water. So there's nothing interesting there, just water. It's off the coast of Africa. Go ahead and make a 1, and we're going to write down where the equator intersects the prime meridian. So number 1, where the equator intersects the prime meridian. So where the equator intersects the prime meridian is where it's at. Okay, so that's an origin point where the equator intersects the prime meridian. That's number 1. All right, so that's it for today. And this right here just kind of goes through the various points and just kind of making sure you can put them in various places. So like number 1, for example, says 41 north by 21 east. So north, east, B. 2, 39 north by 76 west. North, west, A. 3, 72 south by 141 west. So south, west, C. 4, 7 south by 23 west. South, west, C. 5, 15 north by 29 east. North, east, B. 6, 34 south, 151 east, D. All right. Okay, so that's it for today's notes.